Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice radio, so today I'm bringing you a little look at an interesting Pokemon that's been seeing a little bit more love lately. It is Raikou, or Raikou. Never entirely sure how to pronounce that. I need to ask the people at the Pokemon Company, but until then, I'm probably going to call it Raikou. If you prefer to pronounce it Raikou, I apologise. He came out in Breakthrough, and there is a lot to love about Raikou. First of all, 120 HP is not bad for a basic. Resistance to metal is always good. Resistance is always a good thing to have. There are things like Scizor in the format at the moment, which is seeing a little bit of play. It's always nice to have the resistance. Retreat cost of 1 is good. Now, we'll get to weakness and typing in a minute, but we've got an ability here. And the ability is lovely. If this Pokemon has any electric energy attached to it, any damage done to this Pokemon by attacks is reduced by 20. So as soon as you attach a lightning energy here, all of a sudden you've effectively got 140 HP, unless of course somebody turns off abilities using something like Silent Lab would work because he's a basic, or Hex Maniac, or Garbodor. Now, the attack is for free colourless, which means you technically can use double colourless energy, but don't, ladies and gentlemen. It's not very good here. You want lightning energy. This is, in fact, the same attack with which Caldeo EX had so much success. Thunderlance, 50 damage, 20 more for each lightning energy attached to this Pokemon. Free lightning energy minimum is 110. You can keep adding to get huge one-hit KOs. As a general rule here, this deck functions best where you have free lightning energy, hit for 110 every turn, and you continually build up new Raikous on the bench. What you don't want to do is run out of attackers. So, nice and simply here, 120 HP, ability which effectively gives him 140 HP, and a nice attack. Now, speaking of the ability and the HP, there are two tools we really should be looking at here. Firstly, we've got Fighting Fury Bout, which gives him 160 HP, or essentially 180 if you've got an energy attached. That's pretty good. You also, of course, get to do 10 more damage, which is always a bonus, but it means that you are now rocking the same HP as an EX, but you're only giving up one prize. This is nice. Now, the other thing you can do here is use an Assault Vest. Now, Assault Vest is better than Fighting Fury Belt, but it is more limited. So let's say you come across something like a Giratina. Assault Vest means that, he's going to have to use at least double Dragon Energy. So Assault Vest says you do 40 less damage per turn. With the Shining Body ability, they're actually doing 60 less damage per turn, so they're basically doing 40 damage per turn, and they are free hit KOing you for one prize, while you're 2-hit KOing them, even if they've got a Fighting Fury Bout, for 2 prizes. The matchup is going to work very, very nicely here. Of course, Assault Vest is useless if they don't play Special Energy. Against something like a Volcanion, Assault Vest will do nothing. But Assault Vest is multi-use. It's every time they hit you, it's reduced by 40. So if they hit you 3 times, you essentially get an extra 120 HP. Whereas Fighting Fury Bout is single use, it's just an extra 40, but it can be used against everything. So swings and roundabouts, ladies and gentlemen. Swings and roundabouts. Now, in terms of the typing, electric is good. You're hitting a Yveltal for weakness, you're hitting Yanmega for weakness, which is still seeing a little bit of play, you're hitting Rayquaza for weakness. I suppose you are also hitting Shaymin for weakness, but you're also hitting 110, which is Shaymin's HP. But I suppose a Fighting Fury Bout put on Shaymin will become pointless. And hopefully here you're already starting to see how the matchups work out. Giratina is favourable because they just take forever to KO you. Yveltal is very favourable because you are hitting them for weakness over and over again. Rayquaza, any Yanmega shenanigans, and regardless of anything else, you're still able here to win the prize trade because you're using a non-EX attacker. Now and even if you're against EX decks, you're one-hit KOing, they're probably not. Against EX decks, you're probably both 2-hit KOing, but of course, you give up 1 prize, they give up 2. In most matchups, this will win the prize trade. Vespiquen is going to take a long time to be KOing you, especially if they're using DCE and you're using Assault Vest. You'll be one-hit KOing them easily. So even against non-EX, you're winning the prize trade. The big problem here, of course, is that it's free energy. It's free energy attachments, and this is a problem. Now, the good news is, being a basic lightning Pokemon, we have a whole bunch of options here, some better than others. Now, Tobias Fiesing actually got top 8 at, I believe it was Dortmund Regionals, and he used Electrode. Now, Electrode can be pretty good, I suppose. Now, the thing about Electrode is you get an instant 2 energy attachment. You get to discard Electrode, actually KO Electrode, which of course is a bigger thing. You get to KO the Electrode. Now, you do give your opponent a prize, which I get. However, you then get to straight away get 2 lightning energy onto your Pokemon. Straight away. Now, this can be good, and this can be bad. Because, of course, the big downside is you are giving your opponent a prize, but you get 2 energy on you. Now, there are 2 other cards which really determine whether Raikou is in fact good or bad. Number 1, we've got Ace Trainer. Now, what surprised me greatly is that Tobias did not play Ace Trainer. Now, I thought this was a no-brainer. The theory here is, nice and simply, well, let's go ahead and KO my own Electrode, go down a prize, and then immediately play Ace Trainer. And then you go down to 3 prizes, I get 6 prizes, everyone is happy. This seems to be a no-brainer. Now, I suppose the downside is turn 1, for instance, might not be working. The problem is that if you get this turn 1, you can't use it, you can't do anything, you can't use it to draw any cards. This is not a good thing. However, after turn 1, it could often be good. The other thing is you don't want to take a big prize lead and end up with, Ace Trainer as your only possible supporter. That is not going to end well for you. The other card, which has a huge impact here, is Enhanced Hammer. Because when you use Electrode, you attach it as a special energy. And if your opponent plays an Enhanced Hammer, you've essentially evolved up to a stage 1, given up a prize for nothing. I suppose ability lock like Hex Maniac and Garbodor would also hurt here. Now, what was very interesting is in Tobias's list, and it was Dortmund Regionals he top 8'd, he actually played a 2-2 Electrode line, so nothing too major, and he played 4 Max Elixir. Max Elixir might be my favourite here. Now, I've said on many videos before, if you're playing 12 basic energy, you can expect to hit 3 out of 4 Max Elixir. Now, you don't want to be playing double colourless energy here, because if you play double colourless energy, it means that you're doing less damage. And that's not a good thing. So you want to be playing about 12 basic energy, which means you want to play 4 Max Elixir and you want to be hitting probably 3 out of 4. 4 if you're lucky, 2 if you're not. Now, when I say about 12, you might play 11. I mean, 11, to be honest, is how many Tobias played, but I'm talking about, as a general rule, 12 is about what you would play in a deck like this. Max Elixir is a good call. You're a basic Pokemon. I like it very much. And when I'm talking about these options, they don't necessarily have to be mutually exclusive. You can go ahead and play Max Elixir and Electrode. I have no problem with that whatsoever, ladies and gentlemen. The other big option here is Magnezone, and rumour has it that somebody at Fort Wayne this past weekend actually did manage to get into top 32 with an Electrode Raikou list. Now, Electrode, again, it has pros and cons. The huge pro, of course, is that you can just attach as many as you like. And here, of course, what you want to do is go ahead and use cards like Professor's Letter to get energy out of the deck. Use cards like Fisherman and Energy Retrieval to get them out of the discard. And then fill your hand of energy, attach them. Now, this, of course, has a huge downside when you talk about ability lock like Garbodor and Hex Maniac. But as long as you can avoid the ability, you're all good. And there's nothing to stop you using Max Elixir with Magnezone as well. For me, the biggest problem with Magnezone is it's just clunky. This is why I don't like it. It's a stage 2. So you have to either manually evolve or you have to use rare candy. And there's going to be games where you don't get your Magnezone out. There's going to be games where they ability lock. And I don't love this. I'm not a huge fan. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Magnezone. I am currently rolling through Pokemon Sun and Moon with my trusty Magnemite, or Magnamon as I like to call him, and he is my partner Pokemon on Pokemon Go. Me and Magnemite lately are having a bit of a moment. Even with all of that borne in mind, I'm just not loving it. As mean as that might sound. But if you can get it out consistently and avoid ability lock, it's clearly a good option. As a side note, in Expanded, you've got Eels, and Eels make it very, very good. We're not really talking about Expanded right now, but if you play Expanded, go ahead and use it. It's amazing. Attaching an energy from the discard every turn, you can just build up your Raikous, and in this deck, you really can attach a whole bunch of energy. And I suppose that's another big advantage of Magnezone. You can attach a lot of energy with Magnezone, use big attacks, because you're not thinking, oh, I desperately need to get the next one out, because of course you should be able to get lots of energy on the field at once. Of course, if your opponent takes a KO while playing a Hex Maniac, might ruin it. The other couple options we've got, EXP share. When you get KO'd, you get to pass an energy to another Pokemon on your bench who's got EXP share attached. Biggest problem with this, of course, I've already talked about how good Fighting Fury Bout and Assault Vest are. Can you spare room in your deck on your Pokemon for an EXP share? I'm not 100%, but maybe one or two could work nicely. And Energy Switch. Raikou's about to get KO'd, play an Energy Switch, conserve some energy. To be honest, my preferred way of doing this would be Max Elixir with maybe one or two Electrode, maybe one or two EXP share. But certainly if I could get it working consistently enough, I would be all over Magnezone here. That would make me very happy. Now, there are a couple other Pokemon we need to talk about nice and quickly. And by Pokemon, I mean cards. Firstly, Flash Energy takes away your weakness. I'm not a fan. Not because it doesn't take away your weakness, because firstly, fighting weakness, which is what we've got, is not a huge problem here. Garchomp, nobody but me is playing. Zygarde is seeing an increase in play, but I don't think enough to really warrant being scared of the weakness. Now, you can play weakness policy if you like. You can play Flash Energy. Problem with Flash Energy, it is Enhanced Hammer bait. People will be playing Enhanced Hammer. It's seeing quite a lot of play at the moment. It will be gotten rid of very easily. And it means one fewer basic energy in your deck, which means Max Elixir is less powerful, which means that your EXP share, if you choose to play it, is less powerful. Energy Switch is less powerful. Not a fan. Rough Seas, I'd put one or two Rough Seas in. Healing 30 per turn from all of my Raikou. I am down with that, ladies and gentlemen, because here's the thing. We're already tanking a little bit. We've already got the body and the rather high HP, and we've already got the Fighting Fury Bout or Assault Vest. Why not heal 30 a turn as well? Imagine coming across a Giratina if you've got Assault Vest and Rough Seas. Now, I know if they replace Rough Seas and then Chaos Wheel, you can't put another one down, but bear with me here. They're essentially hitting 10 per turn. In their face. And the other card, which isn't really Raikou specific, but it really strikes me as a good card in this particular deck, Puzzle of Time. You want to be getting your Raikous back and your Fighting Fury Bouts and all of that. Playing to Puzzle of Time at once, being able to search your discard for any two cards, pop them in your hand. There's not every deck that this really suits, but I'm a big fan of Puzzle of Time here. This strikes me as one of the decks where it really would work. Now, there's a lot to love about Raikou. The fact that you've got the high HP with the body, with the tools, is awesome. The fact that you're hitting for weakness on well-played cards like Yveltal, Shaman, Rayquaza, etc. is fantastic. And there are options for accelerating the energy. The weakness is not a big problem at the moment, but it could be in the future, you never know. Here, really, the biggest weakness of Raikou, and this is why it's not one of the best decks in the format, the biggest weakness is it's just hard to accelerate the energy. Both Electrode and Magnezone are abilities, that can be a problem. Electrode gives up a prize, Magnezone can be clunky, Max Elixir doesn't always work, and even in the games where you use Max Elixir and it works, you're still sitting there having to try and get free energy attachments on each of your attackers, and this will lead to some very, very awkward games. Now, that is not to say it's a bad deck. Like I've said, people have been seeing success with this, not least of all Tobias Wiesing, who went and got top 8 at Dortmund Regionals, the latest big regionals in Europe. There is certainly potential here. I'm just not ready to say it's amazing yet. I love it, and I think it's going to see an increase in play and an increase of success, but I think there's too many downsides. And as Zygarde is starting to pop up a bit more now, that could be a problem. Now remember, there's a comment section, use it. There are like and subscribe buttons, use them as well. It will make me happy. You can find me on Twitter at the Wassy, on email at ptcgradio@hotmail.co.uk, and the most important thing as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.